As many of you know, my A-cam is currently the incredible Sony FX9. But since most of my current client work and the upcoming documentary I'm making necessitate two cameras, the Sony a7S III has become my rock-solid B-cam choice. Here's how I build it out and turn it into an on-set cinematic powerhouse. Building out your camera rig is one part practical and one part eye candy. It's great to show up on set with a super professional looking camera, although in my opinion, clients are less impressed with how your camera looks and really only care about the final product. So that makes the quality of accessories and means by which you build out your kit all the more important. For the cage, I chose the SmallRig a7S III cage. The Tilta cage is super sleek and sexy, but I'm just a huge fan of SmallRig overall. The cage fits perfectly and has plenty of room for all the necessary accessories. I also use the SmallRig side handle with the rubber grip. It's slightly less ergonomic than the wooden handles, but I like it because my hands are always sweaty. Always. Side note, the a7 III cage does fit the a7S III, but it does rub on the front area near the Sony logo, so I highly recommend getting a proper a7S III cage. This SmallRig one is nice and light and priced extremely well. Cable clamps are also so important when using these rigs. I've knocked out my HDMI cables so many times and even completely damaged the input on one of my a7 IIIs due to bumping it. I've got the SmallRig cable clamp on the cage due to it being a little bit sturdier and a little more reliable than the one that comes in the box with the a7S III. I used the SmallRig padded mount and rails for the shoulder rig and the Camtree brand riser and handles. I like the handles a lot because of the two adjustable rosette points that make it perfect to dial in depending upon how your camera is situated on the shoulder rig. When using the shoulder mount, I have a SmallRig magic arm to bring the monitor down to eye level. I opted to use the native batteries for the camera and monitor rather than rig out a V-mount option. And the reason I did that is because I have a ton of Z and NPF batteries from running two a7 IIIs and two Ninja Vs as my primary camera and recorders for so long. But they both give me almost 2 hours of straight running time, so they're a great option. Plus, it keeps my additional wiring and cables from cluttering up the rig. I really love the Sony Z battery that's in the new Alpha cameras. They're so reliable, and if you're considering getting cheaper third-party batteries, I'd really rethink that. It's no secret that I love the Ninja V and use it to record everything I make. Working in ProRes is my favorite thing about the Ninja V, but it's also an amazingly bright and clear monitor, the best I've used in any lighting situation. I threw down the extra few bucks to get the Pro HDMI cable just to make sure that I always have the best transfer rate possible, and I don't regret it at all. I also love having the ability to shoot RAW over HDMI to the Ninja V if needed, since I don't have the RAW extension for the FX9 yet, although I've never really truly needed RAW. I just like having the option with this particular camera rig. I've also got the SmallRig monitor mount with the NATO rail attached to the SmallRig mounting plates installed on the Ninja V. I started with a full cage, but the Ninja was getting hot, very hot, on long interview shoots. So I opted for this mounting plate kit so that I could still have solid mounting areas and a sturdy cable clamp. If you do long shoots like I do, I highly recommend this kit. I recently started recording all of my audio externally in multi-track to the Zoom H6, but if I want to record to the Ninja V, I use the Rode Wireless Go mounted to the top of the Ninja V using this little cold shoe mount, you guessed it, by SmallRig, that sits nicely on the top of the mounting plate. I really do love the Rode Wireless Go, although lately I've been getting some interesting interference between the mic and receiver when it's mounted to the Ninja V, so if you have any thoughts on what's going on there, I would love to hear what you think. And of course, the pied de resistance of any cinema rig, the matte box. I should do a whole episode on the Polar Pro Basecamp matte box, but there's plenty out there by some great YouTubers already. Now, the first great thing about the Polar Pro matte box is its weight. It's light, it doesn't require a lens support, and it looks great on the camera rig. Similar to the internal ND of the FX9, there's no hard stops. And at first, I wasn't a huge fan of that. It ended up being a real issue, but it also ended up being user error. There can be a full-on blue shift if you're not carefully monitoring in bright sunlight, so keep that in mind. Also, make sure that the logo on the circular polarizer is facing the camera, otherwise it'll look yellowy and off. I learned that the hard way. But as long as you white balance after dialing in exposure, you're in great shape. It matches well to the FX9's internal ND, and I got a second Basecamp to match with my a7 III when using it as a third camera. I also love the blue morph and mist filters from Polar Pro, which fit in the original matte box. The only drawback being that you need their Stage 3 kit if you want to use the circular ND at the same time. But I feel like this matte box gives your footage a beautiful high-end production look that's also beautiful on set and well worth the spend. The a7S III is an amazing camera on its own or completely rigged out, and I have a video coming up all about my full experience in using it in a professional setting. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this rig setup and how I could improve on it, as well as maybe what you have done to rig yours up. With that, thank you so much for watching. Now get out there and be creative. We'll see you next time.